All the things Apple didn't tell us about its streaming TV service. Apple announced today, along with a handful of original TV shows that are in the works but it left out just about every key detail beyond their names. That includes Pride. Today's event provided a big marketing push, to be sure a parade of stars including Jason Momoa, J.J. Abrams, but the spectacle couldn't distract from the fact that the important details were missing. What's worth watching, and when? Absent from today's event was any mention of when we could expect to see these shows arrive on Apple's new service. Apple said that Apple did play teasing several shows, but the montage didn't do the job that full trailers would have in fleshing out why we'd want to watch each series. Mostly, you in a second, larger list of so far. How much? Apple also didn't tell us how much anything would cost. There had been rumors, but it seems like that won't necessarily be the case. On stage today, we also don't know how much Apple will charge to subscribe to one of those other channels, or if any sort of bundles will be offered at a discount. Will we actually see why Apple instead of competitors? Because it can no longer count on selling iPhones to drive revenue growth. But why consumers? Apple let its recruited talent do most of the talking and explanation today. It brought up Jason.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.